Hey there, folks. So, those of you who were following along earlier when I put out a live feed, I was talking about how the DNC is corrupt and doesn't play by its own rules. So now I just read this article on Politico, and there's actually another article from the New York Times talking about how the DNC plans to throw the election. And they just changed the rules to allow Mike Bloomberg to get on this next debate stage by making it so you don't have to have a certain number of individual donors. So the individual donors were put in place to make sure that the candidates have public support. Without the individual donors as a prerequisite, then you just have this billionaire buying his way on stage, which I find utterly repugnant. So now they're talking about making it so the superdelegates vote first at the convention. So the superdelegates are going to rig the convention again against Sanders. And I feel like it's really important for us to find those superdelegates and have a conversation with them. You know, that's basically all we can do at this point, is figure out who the superdelegates are and start putting enormous amounts of pressure on them to uphold the popular vote. Because in essence, what they're doing, for those of you who know what superdelegates are, they're these bankers, lobbyists, and lawyers who don't care about public opinion. They're not in the business of serving the public. These are very wealthy people who are accustomed to having people bend over backwards to do their bidding. And that's not what Bernie Sanders is doing. So as a result of that, they're going to rig the convention against Bernie. That's what's coming out right now in Politico. So we have like literally hundreds of thousands or millions of voters who want Bernie. He was the nominee last time, but the superdelegates robbed him of it. It's going to be the same thing this time. They're already talking about how to rob Sanders of the nomination. So while we have all these people out there beating the streets, canvassing, trying to build grassroots momentum, we have this elitist pack of, wealthy people who are in essence ruining democracy by using superdelegates to throw the convention. So, I think it's really, really, really important to figure out who the superdelegates are and then put as hard of pressure on them as we can, because they're the people who are actively planning on ruining our democracy. That's their intention, is to disenfranchise the people. And I don't feel like they should be able to disenfranchise people without facing serious consequences for those types of behaviors, because that's un-American. It just doesn't make any sense for us to stand by idly while superdelegates rig the primary election against Bernie again. So anyway, if you haven't seen that article, or if you haven't seen those articles, take a look around. You'll find, just like I was saying in my earlier live stream this morning, the DNC is working to halt Bernie Sanders, despite the fact that he's the candidate that the public wants. Yet again, the DNC is full of horrible people that they don't care about democracy. They don't care about the voting public. All they care about is money. They're just horrible people who want money, and they want their billionaire candidates, and they don't want to have to pay their fair share. So they're going to install whoever it is that they want so they can maintain the status quo. And I feel like the status quo is horrible. It's broken. That's why we need insurgent candidates like Bernie Sanders to try and set things right. So anyway, I just wanted to come on because I saw this. Now I've seen, since I put out my live stream earlier today, I've seen 2 articles pointing out that the DNC is changing the rules in the middle of the process so that they can favor their billionaire candidates. And it just pisses me off. It just pisses me off that they're not willing to play by the rules. They're trying to change the rules. They're not even abiding by their own rules. They're trying to change the rules in the middle of the process to disenfranchise the public of the public's candidate. And you know, I don't think Bernie Sanders can change everything. He's just one dude. I feel like if we actually want there to be serious change in this country, we're gonna have to get out there and do the change ourselves. So, you know, I'm not trying to look to Bernie and say, oh, he's the savior, he's like the anointed one who's gonna make everything all right. He's just one dude. He's only gonna have 8 years at the most. But what I am saying is that we need somebody like him to be a figurehead, to stand up to the type of corruption and wrongdoing that the DNC is just perfectly comfortable with. They don't have any issues with disenfranchising millions of people, and I don't think that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of research tonight and just start putting a whole bunch of DNC contact information up so anyone who's interested can get in touch with the DNC. I feel like we need to show up in person, tell them face to face what's up, and just overwhelm them with emails and phone calls so that they know they're not doing this in a void, that they know there are people watching what they're up to and they're gonna have to be accountable for their actions. So anyway, I do appreciate you guys taking the time to tune in. I hope you have a great rest of your night out there, and I'll talk with you again very soon.